Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Wrestling. As by ever, we're joined by Team. Hi Team, how you doing, mate?
Hi, Lee. I'm pretty good at the moment. Feeling much better this week.
Yeah, you look a lot better, mate. So obviously we've got some big news coming out of WWE over the past week. So what we'll do, we'll flick over to Raw and some of the headlines from Raw. So what were some standout moments for you?
Well, I'm going to start straight away with the women's division. We all know I'm a bit of a champion for it, but we had a really strange start to the Raw this week. Io Sky interrupted Rhea for the beginning promo. My first question is, where's she been for weeks? Like, I know we've had the Queen of the Ring, but she as a champion should be like there at present. So I'm not impressed with this moment. I think that could have been something that was fleshed out a little bit better. Also on top of that, we had Lyra, and they really did go hell for leather with each other, but it was an awful ending. Absolutely. A double pinfall is one of the worst endings I can think of. And bearing in mind they're both in a feud with Becky, where was she? So for me, the women's division has been a bit of a miss this week on Raw.
Do you think that's because of the Evolution being next week and they're having to scramble matches together because of obviously Liv's injury? There was rumours that Nikki and Brie were going to try and come back together. Brie said at the last minute no. So do you reckon they're just trying to remember how actually we've got a PLE that we need to put on a decent show? So
you need the storylines going into the PLE. Otherwise, it's just going to feel really weird. So that's my issue with it. I think you need to do something. You need to do better by some of the women.
Yeah, I totally agree. One match from SmackDown that I was quite happy for was obviously, and we knew it was coming, Bliss and Flair's tag team togetherness. I think they played that well. I think they've got a really good shot at becoming women's tag team champs at Evolution. I think that's where we're heading.
Either that or they're going to have a breakup in the middle of the ring. I think this is the best thing for Charlotte right now. I think sticking her with Alexa Bliss will get people more liking her because she's a great talent. There's no doubt about it. But for some reason, she is absolutely Marmite and most people can't stand her. I think that's a problem. She, for me, needs this run. They looked good in that tag match. They really did. And the interactions at the end of the match were definitely worth a view just to see how Charlotte reacted with it. Maybe, and I say maybe, there's a chance that if they don't break up in the match at Evolution, there's a good chance that Charlotte could turn face in time.
It gave me, not massively, but it gave me a little bit of Rock and Sock Connection vibes. So you've got sort of Alexa Bliss as the Mick Foley character and Charlotte as the Rock straight face. But they sort of, like I said, if they don't break them up quickly, I think they're going to become friends throughout. And it did the Rock's image really good, sort of having that little comedic playoff with someone. And I think that could be the same for Charlotte, like you said. So I think if they play this well, as you said, this is going to boost Charlotte's popularity with people, really.
I think it's also worth mentioning the Raw side to this was the fact that they've replaced Liv Morgan with the tag team, with Roxanne as a tag team champion. I wasn't sure how they were going to do this. I thought they did a really good job with this. They did it with a lot of TLC. And Raquel comes out looking great as a result of this. So when Liv comes back as a face, there's some great storylines already.
Yeah, and do you like the idea for Evolution to have a tag team from each brand, so including NXT?
You know my opinion on overusing multi-man matches. However, this actually does make perfect sense. It would have been something I would have considered so that everyone gets some sort of brand exposure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a good attempt. As we're still on Evolution and the women, we might as well worth mentioning that Trish returned on SmackDown. She's going to face Tiffany Stratton. They was obviously tag team partners towards the beginning of the year and stuff. As we know, this is just a match thrown together because the Nikki Liv thing couldn't happen and they've got to have a big name. So I expect Tiffany to win. I expect her to win with these. I think it's just a bit of a nostalgia, bring back a legend. I'm not too fussed about this match, to be honest.
I'm the same. I think it's going to be a by the numbers match. As long as they don't go back to turning Trish Stratus heel again, like they did with Becky a few years ago, as long as they stay away from that story, the match will be fine. I'm just essentially waiting for Tiffany to drop the belt to Naomi now. I think that's my problem. I can't see it happening any other way.
Yeah, and obviously that's probably going to be SummerSlam, so just a nice little filler on the road to SummerSlam. So that's the women's division. Also, we had another tag team become new champions, and that was the Judgment Day. So that sort of threw our theory that we set out when we did our belt review that the New Day were going to have a very long title reign. Do you think this was a right move for the Judgment Day?
Yes, I think so. I mean, both Finn and JD were over, like Rover.
Yeah.
But to be quite fair, they were both brilliant. The match was probably the best match of the week, if I'm honest. I think everybody did their absolute best to get the importance of the title over. I didn't think they would win. I thought, as we'd said before, I honestly believe New Day were going to have a long title run. So this is a shock to me. I do have to wonder what we're going to do with the New Day now, though.
Yeah, because like you sort of said a good thing for them would have been to bring Big E out. That obviously hasn't materialised this year. They've held the belts, but haven't been great champions on this run. I think they've only had a couple of matches and a couple of backstage segments.
Yes, 3 matches, nothing any more than that.
And now, obviously, they dropped the belts to Judgment Day. So yeah, totally agree. Where are they going?
I think that the irony is that's the difference between the SmackDown and Raw tag team scene. The Raw tag team seems to be about 3 different tag teams, and we're left with wondering, who's going to go there? Whereas SmackDown, you could almost give it to anybody, and people would understand. With Raw, it's just essentially, it's New Day, it's Judgment Day, it's the Viking Raiders, and those are the 3 guys. You've got the Creeds as well for America Made, but Raw needs some new tag teams. It really needs to freshen it up a little bit. So whether we have a draft or a swap or something shortly, I'm hoping that will make a difference.
Yeah, and sticking with the tag team division over on SmackDown, we had Prada and Ray Phoenix put in an amazing performance against Faction. I thought this for me was my match of the night on SmackDown. I thought it was a great performance. I think they gelled really well together.
I agree, absolutely. They have been fantastic. I can't be 100% sure, but I think they tagged in AEW for a couple of matches, whether they were 3-mans or 6-mans of such. But I think they've done it before. You can see they've got good chemistry. I'm with you. It was without a doubt the best match on SmackDown. There's no questions about it. It is literally just behind the Raw match for me for the tag match for being match of the week. I was a little bit worried because I'm not sure Fraxian were due for a loss yet. I thought we'd build them up, but I also think with what happened in the match, they managed to protect them.
Yeah, because I agree with you. I think Fraxian needed to go on a run, but their style, mixed with Andrade's and Phoenix's style, made for an amazing match, and they still come out looking really good as well. So I don't think it's harmed anyone. Again, if they play this right, as I said in the SmackDown shenanigans, I hope these guys are future tag team champs.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see that, especially with Penta doing his own thing on Raw. Ray Phoenix needs something. So for me, yes, this is the best way to go for him. The only problem I have with the SmackDown division was obviously we previously had a 8-man match with the Wyatts and one member of the other tag team. That was a mess. Don't get me wrong, the Wyatts looked much better than I have done in weeks, but the match just looked like a giant big mess.
And I think, in a way, that's only because Eric Rowan and his experience, he sort of helped lift the Wyatt Six. I love the idea of the Wyatt Six. I love, obviously, when the music hit, it gives a bit of nostalgia back to Bray and stuff, but I don't see this lasting a year. I just don't think as a group, they're there at the moment. I don't know if they just need to go away off TV again for a bit and go back to the drawing board.
I think if you bring them in as a set piece, as they when they first came back and they were attacking the Chad Gables, attacking the people that did others wrong. I think that works. Just think sticking them in with this tag team division, which was already stacked in the first place and had enough stories. I think you've muddied the water a little bit when it comes to these lot.
So another thing coming out this week is Sam and Carrie's cross carry on their feud, because we was a little bit wondering what was going to happen after Night of Champions, and then obviously on Raw we had Sammy get attacked backstage by Carrion. So do you think this is good where this feud started to go?
Yes, absolutely. Bring it on. I want this feud to go down again. Whether we turn this into a mystical best of 7, whatever, but I need more matches. They've got chemistry. They've got really good chemistry. And as I said, I think Sammy's going to win the Rumble. So I think he's got to have a little bit of a bad luck story. Carrion's got to beat him. He's got to bully him down so that we can see a rise, I think, for this to work really well.
Because in a way, he got beat up backstage, and that sort of played into the Bron Baker match at the end of the night, because Sammy come out with his strapped ribs. Obviously, Baker gave him the spear. So they're merging the storylines, which is quite good.
I agree. I think that this, with Bron and Bronson Reed being as dominant they are, the only sensible thing is to stick the Raw Tag Team belts on them and go with there, show the dominance. That's how you would probably remedy the Raw Tag Teams for a little while. Give them on to these monsters and let them run through everybody.
Even though Seth was on the show, which we're going to talk about in a minute, he didn't make an appearance in this match. Do you think that's a good way, even though they are a faction, but keeping it separate at the same time? Do you think that works for the group?
Yeah, because I think what you need to do is you need to give these two breathing room. You need to show how dominant they are. And I think this match showed exactly that point.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So as we mentioned, Seth, we had a Gunther come out during the night to give his promo for Goldberg, and obviously because we've got Saturday night main event coming up this week, which then brought Seth out with the briefcase, which seemed weird because we thought he was going the scenery. I don't know which route Seth's going.
If you held that briefcase and you had that power, that's exactly what you would do. You would confuse enough guys to go, am I going after your belt? Am I going after your belt? That for me works. That doesn't bother me. I just thought the promo wasn't very good. I think it got really messy again.
Yeah. And then obviously that brought out Punk, because obviously Seth and Punk feud of not allowing each other to win belts or anything like that. That caused them to scrap into the crowd and then into the concourse. And then LA Knight, they were up at the stairs, and then he just slipped from the stairs to the crowd, beating them in the fault in the concourse. It was an okay segment, and then that obviously led to an announcement of an LA Knight Seth Rollins at Saturday night's main event, which I kind of get, but I don't get at the same time, if that makes sense.
I said to you when we were building this, surely this is leading to a Seth Rollins versus LA Knight match at SummerSlam, right?
Exactly.
With LA Knight winning that match and probably then Seth cashing in afterwards to protect himself. I think this is a huge mistake. I really do. It obviously means we're going to do Punk versus Rollins at SummerSlam. No, I'm not a big fan. I think we needed to shine the light on LA Knight. I don't think we're going to get this the way in which we should. I just think they've dropped the ball with this one.
Yeah, totally agree. I've got a little theory, though, to how they're going to make SummerSlam, because obviously we've got Cody Cena. So Knight's going to win on Saturday night main event, and Seth's going to cash in on Saturday night main event to become world champion. So we'll have Punk, Seth for the world title at SummerSlam. So both belts being defended by two groups of top main stars for their 2-night event.
No, that only works, and I'm going to say this because you've been championing that, is if Goldberg then beats Gunther and is immediately cashed in on.
Yeah.
And I don't like that idea at all. I don't like that one bit.
And the only way I think that's going to happen is because it gives Goldberg his title. He can say he retired as champ in a way, because in his last match he won the title. Then he's been cashed in on. So therefore, that then brings the belt to Seth, to then for the Punk. So it keeps everyone inside WWE happy, may not keep us fans happy, but I think that's heading. If they don't head it that way, I still believe Goldberg's going to win the belt and have a match at SummerSlam. That's the two theories. I don't think Gunther's leaving the main event as champ.
I think that makes Gunther so weak. I
Yeah.
think that is going to absolutely, like, he's going to plummet. It's just stupid. Why would we have done? Why have we done this? Why have we not? We were better off keeping the belt on Jey Uso, having Seth then cash in on him to then be able to set that match up at SummerSlam for a world title. This just feels wasted if that's the way in which they go.
And talking about weakness, I feel like they made Solo, who was a United States champion, look very weak on SmackDown. So he had a tag match with JC Mateo and Jimmy Uso, or Big Jim, or I've seen the name floating about, so whichever name we're going to call it. And obviously Jacob Fatu there after their feud at Night of Champions. But Solo ate the pin, and I don't understand that decision at all.
Absolutely, I agree. I thought the inclusion with Jimmy being in that was that he'd eat the pin. And it would have made more sense. You protect everybody else. Jimmy Uso can get away with being beaten by JC Mateo or Solo for a pin. Really doesn't make sense for you to pin your US champion. It makes him look really weak.
On the 4th of July as well, Independence Day. And another weird thing, going back to what you said on our Night of Champions review, Jimmy was there on SmackDown, wasn't there Night of Champions, and technically he was there the next night because we know that SmackDown was recorded this week because Triple H was giving everyone the holiday weekend off. So it was like he was there, not there, then there again, which just doesn't make sense overall for that story. If they were going to do the tag match on SmackDown, they should have put Jimmy in that little shenanigans that happened at Night of Champions to make it make more sense. It was just a strange.
I agree.
And what about the ending? Obviously, putting Jacob through the table with the new Bloodline group. As I said on the shenanigans, I think this is just rinse and repeat of Bloodline stories that we've seen in the past. I'm not liking this. I like the people involved, but I don't feel like it's new or fresh. I think I've seen this again and again over the last 4 to 5 years.
No, I actually agree with you. I don't have a problem with the visual of putting Jacob through the table and the others standing tall. That's what I'd want. If you want to protect Jacob, you put him through the table. But I just, much like you, I've seen this before. Why not just have Solo send everybody out and do different things? That way you're going to keep everyone busy. If you want to keep people as a group, go for it. But go somewhere with it. Right now, I think we're just like, the wheels are just spinning. It doesn't like we've got any traction at all. We had a proper hard Rusev versus Sheamus match. God, that was brutal. You could see them welting up quite badly. That was good. I liked that. I was really glad with the way in which that worked. I think it protected everybody quite nicely.
And I totally agree. I said to you a couple of weeks ago that I hope they kept with the mean Rusev character, and they definitely have. So, yeah, love the match. I agree that kick at the end, I could hear that coming right through my speakers. So, both guys worked hard, but both guys worked good. So, yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. And one that's worth mentioning, or not going too much into it, was the interaction between AJ and Dominic Mysterio. I said to you, whatever happens, watch this video. It's very funny. It's showing that AJ can do comedy really well. So I'll enjoy that moment as well.
Yeah, totally agree with that as well. And I've heard this week as well that AJ's probably signed his last contract with WWE as an active wrestler. So this in the Continental feud and maybe a little run after. Looks like it's going to be AJ's last as an active wrestler. I think they're going to give him a Legends contract. I think we ain't got much time left of seeing AJ. So hopefully this feud now will be a really good one if it's his last hurrah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. I'd actually like to. Well, I would have liked to have seen a Cena AJ rewind, but the way in which Cena's wrestling at the moment, maybe not so much.
Yeah. So that was WWE Raw and SmackDown this week, Tim. As by ever, you've got to pick Tim's top talent of the week. So who you going for this week, Tim?
Oh, we're gonna go with Finn Balor. Finn Balor. I know I could say JD as well, but Finn Balor looked great. He's telling stories backstage. He's looking really good. He's looked shredded all the time. So yeah, Finn Balor for me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Well, Tim, thanks for your time this week, and I'll see you Tuesday for our question of the week.
Yeah, I'll see you Tuesday, Lee.